got my crib notes in case I get lost through this presentation. So I thought I would start just by addressing probably the elephant in the room at this point in time, which is Dell's merger with EMC or acquisition of EMC. Have I got any EMC people in the audience? Just checking. Oh, one, good. Let's make sure we meet each other later. So just to address where we are in that, because obviously as an infrastructure provider, as we collide these two companies together from both a enterprise infrastructure and an enterprise software point of view, we expect it to have implications around not just EMEA, but the global marketplace for service providers. We're clearing through regulatory clearance with all the countries of the world at the moment. I'm pleased to say that the European Union has signed off, the Americans have signed off, and we expect to clear that process in the summer, and then the two companies to come together. So I address that up front, and clearly what we're trying to build here as we combine those two companies is the biggest infrastructure company on the planet, the largest x86 server provider, the largest storage provider, the most innovative networking provider, and a rich software stack to serve the future of not just cloud, but local cloud and on-premise cloud architectures that we're starting to build for customers. So with that said, because I don't want to ever start a presentation without just clearing that in the room, let's talk about cloud, and I'm going to teach a lot of people in this audience stuff that you already know. So today, as I span the EMEA world or the global world, about 50% of our customers and your customers are using some sort of cloud provision. But as we talk to customers, we know that this year really is the year of cloud adoption, and 9 out of 10 customers are telling us they are going to start using cloud services this year. So that's a big opportunity for all of us in this room. But today, only 3 out of 10 of the customers we're talking to are really joining up those clouds. So we see a lot of people with isolation of cloud business. We see a lot of people running applications in isolation, either in the large public clouds or in local service provision here in EMEA, or starting to build cloud architectures on-premise. But only 3 out of 10 of those entities are joining those services up. So these are isolated services. This year, we start to use the term hybrid cloud, we start to use the term multi-cloud, because we think the long-term destination, if we think about what's happening in the world, is that customers are going to need to join those clouds up so that they can take the best of public cloud, the best of local managed service or service provider delivered cloud delivered here in EMEA, and the best of what they leave on-premise, so that they can move their applications and data to the very best facility at this point in time. And that's what everything Dell is doing in its R&D engines at both the hardware level and the software level, and obviously connected to the EMC acquisition and some of the IP and assets within that company. What we're trying to build for you and for your customers is the ability to stand up infrastructure in all of those environments and to then be able to move applications and data in a seamless way as best serves the customer's need. So we see this shift mix. If today we've got 30 to 40% of the customers with cloud services, over the next 3 or 4 years, you see that shift to hybrid cloud, where people really are, now you can use the term hybrid cloud or multi-cloud, but where customers are starting to move their applications and data between the platforms and environments that best serve them. Why is this important? It's important because what we build today has to be able to service that environment in the future. If you're building locked out proprietary stacks that trap customers in a particular place, doesn't matter whether we're trapping them in the public clouds, we're trapping them in local service provision clouds here in EMEA, or we're trapping them in a private cloud environment, inevitably, if we inhibit customers from moving applications and data to the best place for those applications, then we're inhibiting the growth of the marketplace for all of us. And if we think about what's going to happen in that 5-year journey, we certainly see the endpoint device marketplace growing out to something like 50 billion devices over that 5-year period. And when I talk about devices, I'm not talking just about classic end-user devices as we see today, tablets, phones, laptops, desktops. I'm also talking about all the sensor technology that's starting to propagate all across the industry, all of which will generate data. All of that data will cross the networks, and all of that data will eventually end up in data analytics engines in cloud providers. And so this is a massive growth opportunity for our customers, for the service provider community, and obviously for anybody that's in the infrastructure space. So our strategy is differentiated, and I've been listening to some of the other presenters. We are absolutely trying to be the best infrastructure partner, whether you're a hyperscale public cloud, whether you're a local service provider cloud, whether you're a managed service provider, or whether you're an end customer building cloud-like architectures inside your firewall. And our goal is to join all of those facilities up in an open, modular, and flexible way so that customers can pick which of those cloud environments that they work in, and ultimately have a multi-cloud where they push applications and data where they're best served. So that's our strategy. And if you look at the left of this slide as you're looking at it, here are some of the assets Dell brings to bear. We are the only end-to-end solution company left in the world because we do consider those endpoint devices, the Internet of Things gateways, the network and the data center to be one joined-up infrastructure, and to really serve end customers, whether they're consumers or businesses, you need to see that thing end-to-end, number one. Number two, we will be the biggest x86 provider, the biggest storage provider, the largest virtualization provider, and what Gartner calls the most innovative networking provider today. So we bring all the infrastructure assets. We also bring all of the software and managed services assets, and we're bringing those multi-cloud management tools for you. So the stack on the left is what Dell brings to your businesses to help serve them. What's our approach to cloud? So just like any other workload, and if you were talking to me about data analytics architectures or high-performance computing architectures or VDI architectures, I would tell you exactly the same thing. In this case, we're talking about cloud architectures. Dell's approach to that marketplace is to deliver you a blueprint. A blueprint is something we have tested end-to-end. We've stood up in our labs. We've worked with the hardware platforms and the software platforms and the management tools to deliver an end-to-end solution. We deliver blueprints to the marketplace as both reference architectures and as engineered solutions. You might call those appliances. And ultimately, we are delivering you a solution we've tested and that we can stand up and support for you. So if I look at those blueprints for cloud, they come in a number of flavors. On the Microsoft stack, we worked with Microsoft to produce the cloud platform system. For want of a better description, that's a monster service provision opportunity. Starts at 2,000 VMs and runs the complete Azure stack. And we've deployed a number of those in EMEA with service providers. And then we have the baby Dell hybrid cloud system powered by Microsoft. Starts at 20 VMs, drops into the environment, runs the Azure stack, and lets you punch back and forth from the hybrid cloud to the Azure stack or any other environment running Microsoft. The same with VMware, the Dell hybrid cloud solution powered by VMware. The same in the OpenStack world with Red Hat. And actually, we met OnApp here last year, so great meeting. And now we start to develop reference architectures with OnApp as well. And I'm sure there are some OnApp people in the audience. So that tested blueprint solution, ready to go, taking all the heavy lifting from you. We also if you are building extreme scale infrastructures, offer a very tailored service for you. So if blueprints are reference architectures and ready-to-go standard stacks, for those of you building hyperscale environments, the work that we've done historically with the big public cloud providers, the work we do with Amazon and Microsoft and Salesforce.com and Alibaba and Tencent and Uber to build their data centers, we bring that down to a smaller scale here in EMEA, and we can build tailored solutions for the service provider community. What does that mean? It means if you have at one level if at one level you have a very specific need in your server architecture, you have a preference for a particular part of flash storage, you would like the software management taken out of the server, you want a particular memory set up in the server, we can do tailored solutions for you at that level. If you want a massive, high-scale data farm, then we're producing products in the space where you get huge storage density in your rack, 720 terabytes in a 4U form factor, best in the marketplace. If you go onto our stand B6, you can see we're also producing end-to-end rack architectures. And if you're the type of customer that rolls in 5 or 6 or 10 racks at a time into your data center, then we can do bespoke rack design for you and deliver a complete rack ready to go into your infrastructure. So don't think of Dell as just off the shelf. We are building modular, tailored infrastructures for the service provider community. Lots of my colleagues on the B6 stand if that's something that appeals to you. I never want to leave a presentation without talking about networking. Networking is a wonderful opportunity to take out cost. And so whether you're a telco and you're looking at network function virtualization, or whether you're a service provider and you're interested in how you can use software-defined networking, open networking, to take cost out of your network provision, or whether you're just interested in classic legacy networking, come and talk to Dell. That is an area where Dell really is super innovative, super different, and can really take out costs from your business, both from a CapEx and an OpEx point of view. We offer a range of financial services. In fact, we have banking licenses now in 19 countries across EMEA, most recently Iceland, Poland, Czech Republic. We continue to expand our banking presence. We're very conscious as the world moves towards as-a-service provision. We've passed the point where we can just sell infrastructure and that people have the capital assets to buy infrastructure up front. When you're delivering either as an end user or a service provider and as a service model, we want to make sure that as we supply you infrastructure, as we supply you software, and as we supply you services, that we can provide and charge for those in a whole variety of flexible ways so that the cash flow into your business and the cash flow out of your business is balanced. And so if you haven't talked to us about flexible finance and all the offerings in that space, we have a whole range of models that suit different businesses' P&Ls. So to summarize, think of Dell in this way: the biggest infrastructure company on the planet. And by infrastructure, I mean both hardware and software. That infrastructure is tested, pre-built, and delivered for you in a way that takes the heavy lifting off you as service providers and end users. We can wrap that infrastructure and software with a whole range of service offerings and financial services offerings to make it easy to deploy into your business model. And we can support you with marketing and business planning, because as this world morphs in the future, and we all expect it to morph massively over the next 5 years, then you need a partner who is really supporting your business to grow and to thrive. And Dell's mission really is to make the infrastructure and the IT world bigger as we see the proliferation of devices, Internet of Things, data analytics, and cloud. So I'm going to pause at that point. Actually, I'm going to invite a partner that we met here last year onto stage, just to talk a little bit and to get a service provider's perspective to the industry. So if I can invite Andreas Gauger from ProfitBricks to the stage.
Hi.
Thank you. So I will, little brief introduction to those of you that don't know ProfitBricks. So Andreas's business, and you're the Chief Marketing Officer, right?
Yes, I am.
Andreas's business has managed over the last 3 years to be in Gartner's Magic Quadrant, upper right, as an infrastructure as a service provider here in EMEA. So I'm delighted to have him on stage with us. And do you want to tell us a little bit about your business and how you managed to achieve that with Gartner?
I very much would like to do so. Welcome, everybody. I founded, with my partner Achim Weiss, in 1995, the first German web hosting company. And that kind of developed to a business that is now known as the one-on-one hosting business, and maybe some of you know the one-on-one hosting business. And in 2010, we started the first infrastructure as a service company in Germany. And we wanted to build a new technology, a more modern approach to cloud computing. And we aimed it differently. We didn't aim it at the typical developer or startup, which was the target group for cloud computing back then, and mainly is today still. We want to aim it at a CIO or a VP of IT of a mid-sized to large company. And these people have to manage hundreds of different workloads, different hardware architecture, different operating systems underneath. So very much different setup than a startup who has this monolithic new built thing that can actually use all the advantages of a special cloud service. These things were built for real hardware, real servers. So we wanted to do two things differently. First one was our cloud infrastructure should be acting exactly like hardware. There should be a seamless way to go from real hardware to the cloud, to public cloud, and no changes necessary to the workload. And we did a lot of things. We have built we called it virtual network. Now it's called software-defined networking. We have servers that only scale horizontally. They also scale vertically while they run. And other things that we did that you can easily move. We built also a graphical user interface where you can learn, anyone who can manage servers learns this in 30 minutes and can use it. You don't have to learn new paradigms, concepts, complex pricing schemes, instance types of different kind of specialization. It's just like normal servers. So in one day, anyone can use our cloud if he could use real hardware before. And the second thing we thought about is, let's make it less expensive. It was very expensive, still pretty expensive. So we built our software stack in combination with hardware. We didn't build software that is running on any hardware. It's very much optimized on special hardware. For example, we decided to use InfiniBand instead of Ethernet, which is much faster, much more suitable for any kind of cloud environment. Ethernet doesn't make any sense for data center use. It's built for wide area networks. So we used that, and we optimized very much, and we worked a lot and hard until we got it finished. And now we have an infrastructure that's roughly 50% less expensive than our beloved American competitors. And so we think we have an offering, being a European company for European customers, that is easy to use, that you can most conveniently integrate into your hardware environment that you already have, hybrid. And that is much less expensive, is a good start for offering something to the market.
Fantastic. So, by the way, we've been talking behind the curtain, so actually, and we don't completely agree about where the market might go over the next few years, but why don't you share with the audience your view of how the cloud market plays out?
Yeah, I was asking you if you're not afraid of the big ones, I don't call their names, but there are some big American cloud providers. You have mentioned one at least. So if they all start building their own hardware, what are you doing then?
So actually, again, we had this conversation privately, now we'll have it publicly in the world. We genuinely believe that cloud is good for the business, for all of us. And as I said, as devices propagate around the world and here in EMEA, there is going to be so much data, so much network bandwidth required, that ultimately We think applications and data will settle, some in the private environment, some in a hosted environment here in EMEA, and some in the big hyperscale cloud providers, lots of them American, some of them Chinese, coming into the market as well. And ultimately, data and applications will find their own space. And so that growth in the industry net is good for all of us, and we genuinely believe that.
Yeah, and we are happy that there are still some providers of good hardware there, certainly. So.
Okay, next question was just the changes in legislation here in EMEA, and obviously we've been going through a big regulatory period because of the combination of EMC and Dell. How do you read safe harbor, data sovereignty in EMEA, and how that will play out over time?
So what I see is that, at least it's basically between US and Europe right now. In US, they have a different idea of how to secure data for people. Mm-hmm. And the general outlook is, if government needs data, it gets data. And it very easily accesses this data. And in Europe, there are barriers where government cannot so easily access data. There are rules that are strict, that you just can't access any data because you basically have it, anyone has it. So how can you access it? And there's a mismatch. And the mismatch was tried to be patched up with a safe harbor agreement, but it was not really a patch. It was like a Band-Aid. And and a European court kicked it out because it's basically not helping the mismatch. And now they have drafted a new one, which is anyone who has any kind of idea about data security says it's basically the same thing, like a pig with new lipstick. And it will be thrown out by the court again, if they really started like that. They haven't installed it yet. And the situation is very easy. If you're a European company and you have data with a not European provider, you are basically breaking the law.
Okay, so again, the regulators will play these things out over time, but to the conversation we were having, there is space in the growth of this industry for the big hyperscale guys, for local service providers here in EMEA. See that as a wonderful opportunity, and obviously for customers to build their own private cloud environments. Hey, you started working with Dell relatively recently. Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about your experience of working with my company?
Should I? Yeah.
You can say anything you like.
Okay. No, we were a sole AMD shop until recently, and we were searching for an opportunity to introduce Intel hardware in our clusters. And I think the first contact was, like, technology-wise 3 years ago, and we had a good back and forth with Dell on the performance of the servers. In the beginning, they had some InfiniBand problems. But Dell reacted, so I can really sign what you just said. The designs got much better, and now they are really on par and really fast. And price-wise, we got together, and so now all of our Intel infrastructure will be Dell servers. We also think that Dell has the best service organization around the world. The German team is very, very much involved and helps us a lot. And so that's another advantage against just buying hardware somewhere in China.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on stage.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Let me just close out. So if anything I've said this morning, either about infrastructure, if you're worried about the Dell EMC combination as we go forward, if you're looking for tailored infrastructure to build hyperscale environments here in EMEA, if you want to know what we're doing at the software layer so that we can deliver absolute 24/7, 365 solutions for you where we provide all the automation and billing, if that's of interest to you, I have a whole team of people here on the stand, B6, for the next 3 days. Anything we can do to help your businesses grow, thrive, and flourish in the cloud environment, then we're absolutely here to support your businesses. Thank you.
Excuse me.